All right, welcome, Michelle. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. All right, so I just want to start our interview with a little bit of background about what you do. So how long have you been working within the marketing industry?
I have been in the marketing industry since it's probably been about 18 years now. I started when I was 19.
Nice. What's one project over these years that you're most proud of, and what did you learn through the process?
So I actually recently created a through Canva, which is an amazing tool.
I love Canva.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I recently created because I sell nail polish actually, and I have a team of about 12,000 people. And one of the things that I've created was a getting started like presentation for them. Um, and why it's probably my most proud project is because I myself suffer from ADD
Yeah.
and I have a really hard time explaining to people things that I like how to get started or because I just do the things.
Right.
So it's really hard for me to explain to others how to do the things when I just do them. So
Especially if you do it so naturally too.
yes, thank you. But yeah, I created a document because not everybody's like me and they don't just dive right in. I created a document so that they could follow along within their first initial like 30 days. And
Okay.
they have projects to do and things to really help them get jump started into their businesses. And honestly, it's been such a lifesaver for me to have taken the time to do that project. It took me a long time because, like I said, it's hard for me to like think through the processes. But yeah, it's just something that I really am glad that I took the time to create, and it's been amazing so far.
That's awesome. About how many people like have downloaded it, would you say?
Probably about today, probably about 200 people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So I know you use social media in your business. And how would you say social media has challenged you in your marketing efforts as it evolves?
So social media is not what it once was. It is not the same as before COVID. And I know that's a
Mhm.
really weird, and I'm sure many people are experiencing this as well. It was a really pivotal moment for social media because so many people, were using it beforehand and it was just like something they could do to take their minds off of, whatever they had to do or, just life in general and just connecting with people. Um, what I noticed during COVID is that people were really flocking to social media a lot more just out of sheer boredom.
Yes.
And they were spending more money because they were bored.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were they were, going in and buying things off of social media because they were bored.
Mhm.
They started, joining companies where they could sell things because they were bored.
Mhm.
So once the world kind of opened back up, it really seemed like people were kind of over social media and they were more excited for those face-to-face interactions. And a lot of people their mindset shift about social media and what it was. And a lot of people left it,
Yep.
or they took breaks from it. So I definitely think that was pivotal for you know, uh, social media in that time. And therefore, it's harder for like the company I do, where we do a lot of our sales on social media. It's harder to get those sales. It's harder to reach new people. I'll go look on somebody's, Facebook that I talk to all the time and and I look now and their last post was 2 years ago.
Yep.
So it's just I'm noticing that it has definitely challenged us into thinking outside the box for how we're going to get sales without as broad of an audience who is kind of left the space, or at least Facebook. I know they flock to other things like Instagram and things like that. So it's just that's that's what I feel like. I feel like COVID really, shifted us.
It did. Would you say it's become more of an entertainment factor instead of the connecting part?
Yeah, I do
Reels
feel
and
like
TikTok taking over?
yes, for sure. TikTok has definitely taken over. I think people are just looking for lighthearted
Mhm.
conversation. They're done with the deep conversations. They're tired of losing their friends over what they believe. Because honestly, during that time, everybody just had the time to just talk amongst each
Yeah.
other, and it kind of divided people too, depending on what you believed and what you felt like. Whether you thought that the restrictions from COVID were way too hard,
Mhm.
or vice versa. And people were arguing and they were fighting and they lost friendships over it. So I definitely think it's become more of a place now where people do they get their news there, but they also get entertainment and less chatting with people that they know and more just looking for content that makes them laugh or gives them new ideas, things like that.
Mhm. So how have you adapted? So I see that you do reels lately and you kind of adapted that. Are there any other ways that you've adapted to the challenges with the digital content creation?
Yes. So I actually have a big space on TikTok now. That's where I've taken a lot of my business to because
Mhm.
it's more fun than Facebook where you're just scrolling through and seeing people like say something.
Mhm.
So the way that I chose to adapt to it is by, okay, what are other people looking at? What are they, how can I change with the times too? So for my product, I started making TikToks and I try to bring comedy into them as well, try to be relatable. And I'm getting brand new eyes on what I am doing. So for me, it was kind of more of a shift from Facebook, which my daughter likes to call for old people.
Oh yes, my students say that too.
Yes, and more into like the younger crowd, what they're doing, the TikToks and reels and things like that.
That's awesome. What advice do you have for marketers today to create successful digital content to reach their audience?
So the biggest thing that I like to tell my team is make sure when you are creating digital content and when you are really trying to speak to somebody that you make it relatable. You
Mhm.
make it something that you don't just like, here's my nail polish, buy it sort of thing. It's more of a look how cool this is. Look how we're connecting. People are really, like I said, digging those face-to-face connections. And when you get in front of somebody or you're creating some sort of content, you really have to keep in mind what is it that they are looking for? How can you help them? How
Right.
can you be relatable to them? And those are really the kind of approach that we've taken as far as changing with the times.
Mhm. Fulfilling that need for sure.
Yeah.
What are important traits or skills someone should have to be successful when creating content?
Patience.
Yes.
um, like I said, I use Canva on the daily.
Mhm.
It is actually pretty simple to use. So I didn't take any courses or anything like
Right.
that to learn it. But definitely patience and the willingness to ask somebody who is, doing the same thing as you, or somebody who, is successful, and asking them, hey, um, how can I, make this more relatable? How can I make this more personal sort
Mhm.
of thing? So definitely just patience and a willingness to learn, to think outside of the box definitely is super important. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say Canva is so easy. Even as a graphic designer, at first it was like kind of shunned upon, like you can't use that, but it's so much easy. And when you're doing something quick, oh, man,
Yes,
I love Canva.
I do too.
For aspiring marketers, or students like today, what advice would you give them to set them up for success, landing a marketing job or opening their own business?
My advice would be to also when you're interviewing to definitely be relatable. Don't be a robot. Like you're human. And um really try to be yourself
Mhm.
when it comes to interviewing. Um, the advice that I would give them to set them up for success landing a marketing job is, I don't know, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I'm kind
It's
of stumbling
evolved
with that one.
so much and so
It
tough now,
does.
like today. It's
It
changed
does.
even over the
Right.
last 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely think that the skills that they should work on is making sure that they do have that patience and they are taking the time to really kind of hone in on what it is that they're trying to attain.
Mhm.
And, just being honest and being open.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Hmm. Really discovering their passion too.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Having their niche. Because
Yes.
yes, thank you. Because that can definitely help them help both the employer
Mhm.
and themselves figure out, instead of being like a free for all, like what is it that you're good at? What is it that you bring to the table that somebody else maybe doesn't? Finding a niche is really important, I feel like.
It is. It really sets you apart from the competition.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then for entrepreneurs, I know you've helped a ton of entrepreneurs for success. Anything with all the competition out there, um, setting them up to succeed.
Yes. So I think a lot of the time entrepreneurs, they quit so soon, or they go find their 9 to 5 so soon after figuring out that they want to work for themselves. They do not give the ample amount of time that it takes to build that credibility with their audiences, whether it's people that they're bringing on to work with them, or customers, things like that. Really have to um, really have to be a self-starter, self-driven. It took me a really long time to figure out exactly which direction that I wanted to go. Luckily, I didn't have anything else that I was doing, because other than raising children, because I
Mhm.
have 5 of them. And so it was really just about me like honing in on, okay, this is what I want to do and I want to be successful at it. What is it that I need to do? So you have to really be coachable. You have to learn from other entrepreneurs. You have to really listen and be consistent and be patient, because it does take time. It's not something that you're just going to be like, oh, I'm going to work for myself and it's going to be amazing. Like, no, it's not. It's going to be hard.
Right.
And you are going to probably have some failures along the way. You're probably going to have some slip ups. It's not going to be like all rainbows and butterflies. But if you do stick it out, you know, if you do really study and look at other people who are doing what you want to do and learn from them, and keep an open mind, you eventually will get to where you're
Mhm.
going. For everybody, that amount of time, it looks totally different. Like my
Right.
best friend, it took her like a year. For
Oh.
me, it took me like 15. So it's really just about, like I said, having that patience, but being consistent during that time when you think that it's not working or you're not going anywhere, just really dig your heels in those times.
I love that. Success doesn't happen overnight.
Doesn't.
No. And lastly, like one last question for future entrepreneurs. Is there a book you would recommend to help lead them along the way?
So let's see. I have all of mine, because I'm in network marketing. So
Yeah.
a lot of mine have to do with network marketing, but one that I really love is Leaders Eat Last.
Okay.
And it really hones in on, especially if you do end up bringing people along on your journey who are maybe entrepreneurs, or if you are, leading others in digital creation or trying to teach it to others. That is definitely a really good book for keeping your eyes open and aware that as a leader, you're not their boss, but you are somebody who is showing the way, going the way, sort of thing. So it's not really content creation driven, but it is definitely helps you get that sense of, and even people who aren't leaders, I've said to read it, because there's a lot of good content in there. you know, in business practices and things like that.
I love that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for meeting me. That was all very great and helpful.